Do you hear that, folks? That is the sweet sound and taste of one Rising match day in the books and another one on the horizon. Welcome into the PHNX Rising Podcast, presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook app. It's your boys, OJ and Simpson. Is of course me, Mr. Max Simpson, and I'm joined by the man who is not even quite as tired as Austin FC seems to be, Mr. Owen Evans.
Yeah, I'm just like kind of cringing from the opening of that, Max. Thank you very much. I'm just cringing, like you know when you just kind of shrink up because you cringe so much.
Like Austin's defense.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, Austin, it's 0-0 at half time in their game against Violette, who had to sign a couple of boys from NPSL to even be able to field the team today. So, congratulations to Austin there as they struggle to try and turn things around against Violette. Of course, if you're listening on audio, maybe they have done it. Or maybe they haven't.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Keep us updated in the chat, by the way. We really want to see what's going on with that match. So any updates or anything like that. I see Pat Moses. Nice to join you. Finally, good kit on the show. You must not have seen all the times I was wearing like Spurs or Madrid or really anything. So I don't know. Maybe you had like LASIK or something.
Wait, I have a story for you guys.
What's that?
Damon and I went to the D-backs or the World Baseball Classic game last night, and a guy sitting near us heard us talking about Champions League. Yeah. He turned around. Not only was he a Tottenham fan, but he had a giant Tottenham tattoo on his arm. I felt very bad for the man. Imagine, it's one thing to be a Tottenham fan, but it's another thing to commit to Tottenham like that and put it on your body.
Yeah, see, I'm not even...
Did he also have a tattoo of an empty like trophy cupboard?
Well, it was hard to see because, of course, it was empty.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
That's not even something I would do. Well, all that aside, appreciate y'all joining us. As we mentioned, appreciate you, everyone who was joined us on Saturday during post-game recapping Rising's 1-1 draw against Charleston Battery. Nice to see everyone. Me in a less pixelated version, Owen on a more on-time version. But yeah, we want to talk a bit more about that one. You know, it's been a couple days since that match happened. We have a bit of deeper dive. We'll get into some of the analytics. But Owen, I want to turn it to you. Has your perspective changed on Rising's performance now as opposed to when we recapped it in the moment?
I feel as though, look, at the time, and it's always interesting, I think, when we sit down on a Tuesday versus when we sit down after a game, and just how much more you can kind of process afterwards when you think about where things went right, where things went wrong through the course of the game, compared to when, it's immediately after a game and you're just kind of hitting on the highlights really more than anything. But yeah, I think the more that you sit around and think about it, the more it brings back a question that I've kind of had, and I think I've brought it up a few times on the pod about, for me, this is probably the biggest question is, what is the real plan at the minute with that number 9 spot? And the reason that I say that is that, look, I didn't feel necessarily that Manuel Arteaga had the best of games. I know you brought that up. I maybe defend him a little bit after the game.
Roles
but
first.
Yeah. I feel as though it's just one of those kind of positions where you look at it then and go, okay, he didn't have a great game, but what is ultimately the alternative? And I think that's probably the biggest lesson I took away from this. Was it really underlined to me the idea of what do you do to change things up at that number 9 position? Because, and that's not a comment on Manuel Arteaga, he's not good enough. Players have good or bad games, it happens. There's, especially early doors in the season and a brand new team, there's going to be fluctuation. But the problem is, how do you change the game without having to realistically change how this team is approaching the game? Because there is no true backup number 9 on this squad.
No, at least not like for like in any way that either the build or profile that Arteaga offers.
You can play Danny Trejo up top,
right,
but he's not as physical.
No.
He's nowhere near physical enough. You've got Liam Mullins, who, Michael is here mentioning in the chat, Liam Mullins, of course, who, look, he's a talented kid. He's a talented kid, no question at all. He's also 17. If you're relying on him as your backup striker outside of really extreme circumstances, you've got a problem. You shouldn't be relying on him to be your backup striker in that kind of a position because I want to see him get some minutes this year. Yeah. I don't want to see him relied on for long periods of time. What happens if Manuel Arteaga has a bad run of form? What happens if he has a bad game? You want to change things in game. What happens if he gets injured? We don't know. And I think when it was kind of looking back at it now and thinking, okay, how could things have changed? How could things have been corrected in game, and how could those tweaks have been made? It's realizing that actually, at least at the number 9 spot, there's nothing you could have done. Mm-hmm. You've got one guy. Yeah. You've got one guy, realistically.
Yeah, and I think there's, we kind of profiled, right, that if there are going to be different tweaks and formations to this team, there's a lot of fluidity along the back line. Guys can play center back, outside back, whatever have you, whatever the term you want. And there is a bit of fluidity in the midfield. Really not much on the attacking end of things. And that's something where, especially with so many new attacking guys you're looking to bring in a mix, I think that is a real recipe to really help mess up the chemistry by trying to switch your position in order to fill in a number 9. I mean, this is it's perfect timing. Let's actually pull up. We have Manuel Arteaga's heat map, if you will, from Saturday's match. And kind of going off your point, right? It wasn't his most I don't think it was his most effective game. You maybe had a bit differences. What are we seeing from this map?
He gets involved around different parts of the field here. Right. For those of you who are watching, look, I know it says on the direction of play, left is the defensive end, right is the attacking end for PHNX Rising on this particular graphic. He gets involved, but there's very little that he gets involved in areas where you'd look at and say, where do you want your number 9 to be? He's just not in the right spots for that per se, is he? He's right. I mean, I know, Max, you made the joke before about that blob in the middle is probably kickoff. So it might well be, to be fair. Yeah. It wouldn't shock me if it was.
And I'll explain for those that are listening on audio. This is a freaking horrible medium, but essentially we're looking at Manuel Arteaga's heat map, and essentially the 3 areas where he popped up most on the pitch was inside the center circle, pretty much right on the defensive half of the halfway line.
On the left-hand side.
On the left-hand side, and right on the border in between the attacking third and the middle third. That's pretty much it. There's a little bit of shading inside the 18-yard box, a little bit here and there on the sidelines, but really it's concentrated in the midfield.
Almost all of that is in the midfield. Yeah, that's and
it was when Rising was getting pressed for... really from that 30 minute through the 70th minute, where for half the match, for those 40 minutes, where they were getting pressed by Charleston, and Charleston was just carrying the ball. Manuel Arteaga was often the furthest guy forward, and he was, still in Rising's defensive half.
Yeah, he was, look, I've seen it in some of the friendlies this season, when you actually think about it, and you think about how, he's getting involved a little bit deeper, and that can be a good thing, especially when you've got people like Danny Trejo. You've got people like Federico Varela and other people, Emil Cuello, and even people who are going to run down the wings. Erickson Gallardo wasn't available in this game, of course. It can be all right that he drops deeper. That's fine. Yep. But the problem is we didn't really see him even getting that involved, I think, in terms of flicking it on to other people further up. Mm-hmm. And overall, look, again, it's one game. I'm not reading too much into it. It would be harsh to do so. Mm-hmm. Everyone has good games. Everyone has bad games. Even the best of players will have some bad games. 100%. But it just feels as though it was a bit sluggish in general, in the attack as a whole. And I don't think that he did anything hugely positive to impact that in the right way.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been seeing, Pat's comment, to be fair, did anyone have an attacking positive heat map? And realistically, not as many. But my whole thing is the knock on Arteaga and a lot of people's, criticisms is, I'm seeing the comments here. He missed multiple chances. He's not as consistent of a finisher. And that's all well and good. The reason why I rated him in terms of he can be a productive number 9 is based on the positions that he took up, his physicality up front, holding that last defender. And when you are not even in those positions, whether it's by your team not having the lion's share of the possession, which at moments during that match they didn't, or you're just tracking so far back that you're not able to push the defense, whatever the reason is, if that's what your strength is and you're not able to utilize it, whether it's your fault or not, it's really tough to shine and do what he does.
Yeah, it's difficult, right? And I think the entire front three, in a lot of ways, were really not at their best in that game. I just don't think they were. I don't think that they created enough chances. I don't think that the product from Rising in the final third in general was poor. Definitely. Now, they didn't get there in general as much as you'd have hoped, but even when they did, it wasn't hugely efficient. Now, We do actually have another graphic to throw up, don't we? And it's a kind of a passing map here. So what this shows, this is from the second half only. If we showed you from the whole game, it would be a mess, right? It would be way too much to process anything. Now in this one, apologies for those of you getting confused, it's going the opposite direction to how the previous map went. You can see the fact that there's so little when you get into the attacking third. Rising completed a lot of passes, over 300 passes, I believe, in the entire game. But the overwhelming majority of those are coming in their own half.
Yes.
In fact, if we count there, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passes, maybe 6, is it, that actually end in the... I think it's 5 that actually end in the penalty area,
and you're
the penalty area.
Not only
that's not good enough.
Not only that, if you're even looking at the direction of really where those passes are going and its intention, you really only see... Well, I mean, I guess 2 of them are kind of looking like they're in on goal, and 1 out of the 2 of them you actually converted where it was essentially a tap-in by Danny Trejo on the 6-yard box. That's just not a fit. I mean, it's just not good enough. I mean, we went over the numbers a bit on Saturday during post-match. Again, the touches in the opponent's final box, 11 total touches throughout the 90 minutes. It's just not going to be productive enough. Final third entries, 32 final third entries where they carry the ball within that final third. And again, like if you're looking at this by comparison, Charleston has essentially double in both numbers. It's just something that it's not going to be higher caliber enough to really threaten a defense. It'll come with time. There's a lot of new faces offensively, but those numbers, you just can't have 1 or 2 chances a game and hope that you go off that. It didn't work last season, and it's just not going to work this time around.
No, in fact, if we get more into the passing as well and look, so I can pull up now the top 5 passing combinations from that one. So that's just who's passing it to who. If you look at it, the most common pass that PHNX Rising made in this game was from Rocco Rios Novo to Danny Crutzen. Then it was Kev Lambert to Rocco Rios Novo. Then it was Daniel Crutzen to Kevin Lambert.
I'm noticing a theme here.
Then it was Rocco Rios Novo to Kevin Lambert.
There's another theme.
And then it was Mo Traore to Daniel Crutzen.
What
These
do they
are
have in
all
common?
really negative passing around the defenders and the goalkeeper. 3 of those top 5 combinations involved the goalkeeper in some capacity. Okay, what PHNX Rising got trapped in, I feel, in this one, and this can be the downside sometimes to a possession-based system, right? We know that that's what Juan wants to implement. The problem with it comes, what happens when people aren't getting behind the lines, what happens when people aren't getting into good positions to create those passing lanes and to create options for you to work your way out of the back, is that it becomes quite stagnant. You get stuck in positions where you are quite deep. You're just kind of knocking it around. You're waiting for something to appear, and it never appears. And so if you're not getting into those positions, you're going to see a performance that is, in general, pretty slow. I mean, I know Mo Traore is getting some real stick in our chat right now, okay? He's getting some real stick in there. But the thing is, at least he was actually running at some point. He was actually trying to dribble up and make something happen. The problem comes when you're just kind of chilling in the back and you're just knocking it from side to side and you play it back to the goalkeeper and the goalkeeper plays it then to another defender and it doesn't really go anywhere. And for a lot of the game, that was what it felt like PHNX Rising were more doing. It's disappointing. It's disappointing because this possession-based system could be so exciting. It can be... Look, again, we don't want to see a kind of, the complete opposite, which is where you just hoof the ball and it's...
No, it's...
But there wasn't any real creativity in the passing.
I mean, again, like the thing that we keep harping on is like this, especially when you're playing and attacking for a possession-based system, it takes time. It's the first regular season match, and we do stress that like it does take patience. I think the thing that's interesting to me, right, and especially this is after the goal happened, is it was a bit more, not just hoofing enough to hoof it, but they essentially looked to play into the midfield, because we saw really throughout that first 60 minutes, it was, like to your point, those combinations were from goalkeeper to along the back line, and the back line from one defender to another. And it's almost like, I kind of felt when I was watching, they were so hell-bent on following the instructions, which I get, that's the initiative. You want to build that foundation early in the season. But they were so hell-bent on building that there were at times, even if there was an open runner or someone made a run, it just wasn't seeming like it was getting picked up or they were even looking for that. And then you kind of see that shift after the 60th minute where they play into feet. And in the holding midfield, they then lump it over the top. And again, it was an intentional ball, but that just opens up things completely of, okay, when you're actually able to break lines, when they were breaking lines a bit early in the first half, that's when they had their most success. And I think it's finding the balance with these players, with this coaching staff, of how you go about building this foundation, but also not being so, hey, we're doing this no matter what and foregoing opportunities just for the sake of doing it.
I think that is the real crux of this. And it kind of goes to something we spoke about, I think, maybe last week, maybe the week before, when we were talking about, okay, how long does Juan really have to implement his system? Because he's trying to implement a specific kind of system here. And yes, you have to give him time. Of course you do. But the kind of downside to that sometimes is that you do go for spells where you don't get results that maybe you could have gotten.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's a bit, uncalled for here. I mean, Charleston, I believe, put up the highest XG of any team this weekend in USL, which speaks to the kind of chances that they were able to create. A lot of them were headers in the penalty area. And obviously the goal and the attempted tap-in right before the goal were both also pretty high-value chances. But it kind of just speaks to that, which is, okay, yes, this thing's going to take time, but how long is reasonable? How long is reasonable to stick to the exact same plan of, okay, we're going to make this work, we're going to make it work by doing this, this, and this. And if it doesn't seem to be clicking, how long can you kind of beat the old horse and just say you're gonna just stick the course?
Yeah, and I think even with that, I mean,
I think it can work.
No, and there's two ways to look at it. People can look at it from a super specific view where this is within a game, and then it's within over a season. I think that even if something isn't developing in a game, and maybe you have a stretch of games where you're not as offensively, I don't think that means you have to overhaul your match throughout the system throughout an entire season. However, when you look at it from a game-by-game standpoint, it means that maybe you start being a bit more direct and looking to bypass levels a bit early on in the game, because then that kind of takes the weight off of, okay, our last couple of matches, maybe we haven't been as offensive. How do we retool things in the big picture? If you focus on what's going on in the moment and you look to pick your heads up, you then play in midfield, you play into the forwards, the guys who are checking back, all of that builds up. So I think that to me is where you look at it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing there really is you kind of have to, if you're going to be breaking this down and kind of analyzing it, the one way that you need to look at it, if you are Juan, is you need to kind of break down, okay, who is getting in the right positions, who is not? Who is making the right passes, who is not? Yeah. Because especially looking at that back line, and look, I know that maybe the choices aren't there right now. The number of players that were banged up on the weekend, and Carlos Harvey being away in that friendly against for Panama against Guatemala. Yeah. It's difficult, but at the same time, you've really got to break down, are you having the right people out there to make those passes out of the back, to find those opportunities and actually kind of break that cycle of just passing it round without really necessarily having a purpose to the passing other than holding on to the ball.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's whoever's in there. You want to bring in guys who, whether they are expected starters or guys who are filling in, that they're able to rise to the occasion, fit the system, but then again, have that bit of flexibility where if things you've been doing in the game for however X amount, 30, 40, 50 minutes, whatever it is, being able to say, hey, let's maybe look to be a bit more breaking lines and just not be so, how can I explain it? You don't want to be so, we're doing this just for the sake of doing it because that's how we build a foundation. A foundation can be fluid. A foundation does not have to be, we do this or else, even if it doesn't work. I think Juan, he's seen that he's a very flexible guy from a foundation and a system standpoint, so we'll see how this ebbs and flows.
Again, it's the philosophy, it's not necessarily the...
That's not good.
The philosophy has to be consistent. The implementation does not have to be consistent.
Definitely.
You can be a little bit more fluid with that implementation, so long as you're sticking true to the principle behind it.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of sticking true to what's going on and everything like that, Circle K, man. We love our friends at Circle K, and really, they've been sticking true with us during this new partnership. And to kick things off with what we've been doing, we teamed up for an amazing giveaway opportunity Text PHNX to 31310 for an opportunity to win a $500 gas card. See the show notes for details. I also want to make very clear that if you do text, it shows that the winner will be announced next week. So if you have not texted PHNX to 31310, A, what the heck are you doing? B, what the heck are you doing? And C, do it now, because this only goes through next week. They are going to be doing offers with us all throughout the year. So it's going to rotate. Maybe one time it's a gas card. Maybe it's a free snack pack or whatever. But if you want free gas, that's expensive. I filled up yesterday. It was like $4 a gallon. My Toyota Camry, it's like $60 right there. If you're doing the math, it's a lot. So get yourself a couple tanks worth of gas. Text PHNX 31310. Do it now. And, when you go to Circle K, you can stock up with Four Peaks. We're drinking Four Peaks. I'm repping Four Peaks. It says drink beer, give back with a school bus on it, because that's their Wowie Joy Bus. There's like a cool little bus on it. We are Teal Tuesday, I guess. Someone said that earlier. We're kind of different tones
Slightly
here.
Different shades.
Slightly different tones.
Yeah.
And I guess people really like his Banditos kit. But anyway, if you want to support our friends at Four Peaks, you already know, best place to spend St. Patty's Day. It's at their 8th Street Pub, of course. Hang with your friends and enjoy a damn good time. They got the wows, the stouts, the porters, the kill lifters. My beer is not done, sir. Thank you very much. Must be 21.
Push it up, then, so the beer tower can commence.
Come on. We always build the tower throughout the show. But of course, you must be 21 years or older to enjoy. All righty. So we talked about Charleston.
You know what? I'll actually butt in though for a second here and say, actually, the
Typical.
chat, guys, you've been pretty slow today,
kinda
which I like to imagine means that you're taking our thoughtful arguments on board and really thinking about them. But the reality is, we want you to throw stuff back at us.
We throw.
Talk to us about it.
Thank
Come
you,
on.
Eddie. Beer
we want to hear what you guys think. We want to hear what you guys think.
No,
so hop in. Shout at us if you
We
disagree
throw
with our
analytics
opinion.
and charts at them, and suddenly they're like, "What is this? Big brains over here." That's right. We're the whiz kids, the Wunder kids. Shout out people who like Ted Lasso. New season tomorrow, baby. Tomorrow. Put it out in the chat if you're a Ted Lasso fan and who your favorite character is. I'm actually really curious because I don't think we've asked that question in the chat.
I think it comes out tonight here. I think it comes out tomorrow in the UK. I think it's tonight here. I will double check for you, but I think it's tonight here.
Okay, we're fact checking. If you are a Ted Lasso fan, please let us know. And let us know who your favorite character is, all that stuff, please, because I'm a big Ted Lasso fan. I think a lot of us are here. Let's go.
Yeah, so it drops. Yeah. In fact, it may have or may not have already dropped.
It says 6 p.m. today, so I believe
it's currently live. I think. Hang on a minute.
All right, I'm just gonna leave immediately right now. No, but.
Yeah.
No, but
it's currently live.
No, Charles, it's all right. If you're like Charles, still learning the ins and outs, we love it. We everyone from the novices to the seasoned veterans to a guy who just kind of rambles on and drinks beer like me. We got homes for all of you. Thomas, don't do that. Come on. Don't. We're not. I'm not gonna even put that in the audio. We're not doing that. Hey. Let's move on swiftly away from that. We talked about Charleston. Gosh darn it, Eddie. We talked about Charleston and really what the first week looked like. It now turns our attention to a familiar opponent, one San Diego Loyal with a bit of a new wrinkle in that we're not going to be seeing everyone's favorite away coach, perhaps.
Yeah, Landon Donovan.
I know, everyone, hold your sadness. Don't have to. You can vent in the chat if you feel like it. No more facing Landon Donovan on the manager side. We'll take a moment. I don't know why he hasn't died. He hasn't died, but yeah. No, but
he will not be or should not be on the touchline. At least he is no longer the head coach of San Diego Loyal. He's moved upstairs and bestowed that honor on Nate Miller, who was in many ways already the head coach of San Diego Loyal in all but title alone.
Put your true feelings in for Landon Donovan in the chat.
He was the associate head coach, which is a title you give to someone who is the head coach, but who you don't want to be the figurehead.
That's reading between the lines, folks.
So there's a fair bit to kind of dissect with San Diego. I think the first thing we should do, because of course there was a game, San Diego did have a game on the weekend. And we should probably take a look at that, have a look at some of the numbers from that game. San Diego Loyal beating Detroit City by a scoreline of 1-0 against, that game was played at Torero Stadium. San Diego had a slight edge in the possession, 54%. However, Detroit City were the ones creating the chances there. The XG for Detroit City, 1.39 compared to San Diego's 0.78. That means that you're expecting that Detroit City's chances should probably create more goals than San Diego Loyal's chances in the game. Even though if you actually look at the shots, San Diego 14 shots, Detroit 16. So what that tells us more than anything is that Detroit were quite wasteful, but it does tell us that San Diego Loyal will leak opportunities.
We like that.
They will allow chances. In fact,
call your plumber.
If you look at Detroit and you look at the opportunities that they had, I believe, about 3 shots from relatively close range, very close to that 6-yard area. One, I think, was inside. The other 2 were just outside of it. And they couldn't keep them on target.
Yeah.
So the problem there is not so much the fact that San Diego defended well to keep this clean sheet. It's not even that San Diego's goalkeeper stood on his head. The issue there is that Detroit City couldn't finish. And so, to me, that gives hope. That definitely gives some hope when you're looking at this and think, okay, I think that they're going to be able to create chances against these. Now, of course, the issue comes that Phoenix Rising struggled with creating chances in the last game. So are they going to ultimately take advantage of the opportunity that San Diego are providing them? Or are they going to look relatively impotent as they did last weekend? We don't know. We don't know right now. Meanwhile, on the other end of the field, I think we should actually have a little bit of a talk, actually, about a certain signing that has come in. Who has signed for San Diego Loyal this week, Max?
Hey, you got it.
You're leaving it to me?
I am leaving it to you.
Do you not know who signed for them,
I do,
Max?
but honestly, I don't have the...
Oh, he's tossing it over to me.
Oh, yes, I'm turning it over to you.
Of course, it is the one and only Ronaldo Damus, Haitian internationals forward who won the title with Orange County in 2021. He was also the USL Championship final MVP in that game, scoring in the final, 2 goals in the final. I mean, Tampa defending him atrociously. I don't know why they were surprised that he scored 2 goals in that game, but scored 2 goals in that final, double digits on the whole season, and a real thorn in the side of a lot of teams out west. So to me, that's a concern. Perhaps more of a concern. I don't know if how ready he will be for the game on Saturday, or if we're looking at someone who's more likely to feature in the return leg 2 weeks later when they come to Phoenix. But if you're Phoenix Rising, you're not really happy to see that transfer going through in time to give him the chance to feature against this team, because he is... Michael, stop with that. He scored a lot of goals in that season, okay? He scored a good number of goals in that season. We're not calling Ronaldo Damus a waste man, okay? He was a decent player, and I think he's a guy with a good eye for goal who can cause some real trouble to Rising's back line. Especially
with perhaps a reshuffling a bit within the back line, Carlos Harvey coming back, especially, you saw Fuenmayor go off, Darnell King possibly could be in the mix, and he got subbed out. Like, there's a lot of, it's early on, but even you just look at what happened in the first match, and there's already kind of a bit of fluidity in that back line. So, listen, the right guys will step up and start, but that's not something you particularly want to see. And you've got to be licking your chops if you're, playing Phoenix and it's like, okay, early in the season, just sign on with San Diego Loyal, and I'm seeing a reshuffled back line.
18 goals. 18 goals in 21 between the regular season and the playoffs. He scored in, I believe it was 13 different games in the regular season. Okay. So, is he one to really rack up the score in most of these games? No, he'll score the 1 goal and then mostly be done. But still, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. And I don't really want to downplay what he can do. I mean, he scored 16 goals with North Texas the year before. Very good North Texas team, that one, that produced quite a few very good players.
I'd say good academy, good system.
I mean, they had a really good system there. I mean, they put out, wasn't Pepe in that team? You had Arturo Rodriguez in that team.
Did even what's it called? Weston McKennie and guys go through that, or am I?
Well, I'm thinking about this one team, that 2019 North Texas.
Oh, the
recent
recent. Gotcha.
Okay, that one very specific team.
Pepe definitely played on that. Yeah,
Arturo and Pepe. That was a very good team when you actually break it down. Who was involved there? Look, Ronaldo Damus to me, I don't care what Michael's saying in the chat. He is a very, very serious threat. This is a guy who, at different levels of USL, has put up double-digit seasons.
Yeah.
And so I'm concerned. I'm concerned to see him taking the field against PHNX Rising. Maybe this first game, not knowing when he has arrived, not knowing all these various different things. But from the way that it's been described and the way that people talk about how this loan has been in the move for a long time, right? Yeah. This isn't something that's new. They've been talking about it for a few weeks now. And therefore, it's possible that he's already come over and they were just working on paperwork. We don't know. Look, I just think that this is something that we should be concerned about from a PHNX Rising perspective when you're looking at it and you're looking at a team that can put up someone very, very dangerous in that attack. Now, we should probably speak a little bit more about the attack. We should look at what they did a little bit in that last game. So you have one more graphic for you now. This is looking at San Diego, what they call attacking thirds. So it's showing where the thrust of the attack is. 42.8% of their attacks coming down that left wing, 33.2% coming down the right wing, and 24 going up the middle. Of course, it's a little bit of a skew to the left wing there. Obviously, Andrew Carlton's not there anymore, but you know, when you're looking at that, Nick Moon was quite pivotal in terms of being a bit higher. What's actually interesting about that then is Detroit, theirs was flipped, partly because Nick Moon was higher up the field on that left-hand side for San Diego. They're still playing that kind of back three.
Sure.
So when they're doing that and the guy on the left is higher up there, there's leaving more space there. You're dragging that centre back out wide. You're leaving space to try and attack down that left-hand side. But San Diego, a team that were definitely a little bit more on the left than in any other position. One other thing that was interesting was that from set pieces, they had 4 set pieces. And the set pieces, I believe, was Charlie Adams was taking them. 2 of them were successful crosses, 2 unsuccessful crosses. So they are actually getting on the end of some of those.
Well, and especially knowing, granted, it wasn't the first ball, but I mean, that's how Rising conceded in their match against Charleston, where it was off a corner. Not necessarily the same thing as a cross, but right, like getting into those attacking positions. That's tough. I am curious though, how the new signing impacts that. Do you maybe see a bit more balance through the midfield, or watching his game, have you seen that he kind of drifts perhaps a bit throughout and maybe not the true number 9 center holding up the ball on the back line?
An interesting one. I mean, we're not really going to know, I think, until we see him actually take the field with San Diego. I mean, it's nice Fence City answer to your question, but I am intrigued to see it. No, because it's true, right? A lot of players you'll see and you'll think, well, this is how I think they'd fit best in my mind. But that's not what the coaching staff think. They'll put something out that's different. They'll put something out that is, you know, they'll want the player more maybe to adapt to them than them adapt to the player. Until we see him out on the field and we see what it is that San Diego are really expecting him to do, all we know is that this is someone who has got a track record of scoring goals in this league. And that is enough to be concerned.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. We kind of going off of Rising's lineup, and right, kind of this may be a bit of a prediction time. We saw who they rolled out against Charleston. We know that there's maybe some guys coming back into the mix, maybe a potential injury here and there. Do we see wholesale changes through the lineup?
I don't think we'll see wholesale.
Okay. I don't think so either.
I think you have to bear in mind that if someone is not fit enough to be in the squad against Charleston, my question marks is quite sincere over whether they are going to be fit to start against San Diego. Doesn't mean they won't feature in the squad. Doesn't mean they won't come off the bench. In fact, when you had 3 kids who'd only recently signed academy contracts in the squad, that tells you something about where the team was in terms of availability.
Yes.
So is there space for people to easily slot into that bench? Yeah, of course there is. Does it mean that I expect to see them start? No, I'd be surprised. Especially you've got a nice gap afterwards. Plenty of time to make sure they're fit. Plenty of time to make sure if you can get them a few minutes off the bench, give them 20 minutes to go run around. After being out for a couple of weeks, some of these players, they haven't really featured for a little while. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. So what Owen is referring to, for those of you who don't have the schedule memorized or pulled up in front of you, is Rising plays away at San Diego Loyal this Sunday the 19th. They will have 13 days off until their next match, the home opener on April 1st. So there's some time there. I am curious, to hear your thoughts, and chat, please chime in. This to me is a question that's very relevant going off of how Saturday went. Against Charleston, the man with the assist, Gabby Torres. Now listen, he had a tough preseason. He was down. His form was a bit dipping compared to where he left off last season. Going into this match at San Diego Loyal, chat, again, please chime in. Do you start him?
I think the chat is going to say a resounding yes because they don't want to see Mo Traore start.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, the chat
I just
has
want to
made
make
his views on Mo Traore
I want to make sure.
clear.
I want to make sure.
I think that Gabby Torres is going to be a popular choice among Rising's fan base. I mean, even I believe Rising put the numbers out today, actually, from Gabby Torres' time here in the Valley. 5 games for Phoenix Rising. He scored 3 goals, got 2 assists, and he earned a penalty. Okay? This is a guy with a good track record in Phoenix Rising colors. So, look, I anticipate he could well be starting. Yeah. I think that people want to see him play ahead of Mo Traore. I feel as though the fact that he came on and was a difference maker has proven the fact that he can get that done in the system that one wants to play. And I personally would, yes, I think that he should probably be starting. I think that's a realistic change. I think the other realistic change that I'd probably point to in there is I think that Carlos Harvey may well come on in.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure quite how that'll work then because I didn't think that Jose Andres Hernandez was that bad. Of course, he did go off, picked up a knock later on, was taken off. Efatobo Aurora coming on in his place. So, I mean, we also don't know how fit, unfortunately, that Jose Andres Hernandez is.
Yeah.
We should get more updates on that tomorrow. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, PHNX__rising. We'll bring the latest information out of the Phoenix Rising camp. That'll be coming tomorrow, a little bit after lunch. So just pay attention there. But yeah, I personally, I think Carlos Harvey has got a good shot to be part of this team. Quite where he plays. I mean, it's possible he could also play in the back.
Yeah,
he could play as a defender. Juan Mayor, of course,
I was going to say that to me
we
might
don't know
be the
quite
more,
where he is. We know that he suffered a tightness in the hotel,
if
and
he's
then
not 100%,
played him up on the field. Yeah,
if he's not 100%, that to me seems to make more of a logical chance because even though Jose Andres Hernandez did not have the best game against Charleston, he also had, to me, he has had a solid preseason by what you've told me about what we've seen, and I think he's a guy where, especially where you don't have a lot of that offensive, pushing the ball forward, and especially where they struggled with that, finding his feet. I want to see him have a bounce back game. I think you put Carlos Harvey in the back, knowing that he can do that job, slotting in for Fuenmayor. If he is not 100%, if he is fit to go, maybe that's a different conversation, but that's to me where I first look. Want to get from you and the chat chime in as well. Gotta do score predictions.
There's one other thing, actually.
Oh, yes.
One other thing.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. The Mr. Referee in him, the officiating, please.
Yeah,
chime
I'm here
in.
to scrutinize PRO. Everyone loves to scrutinize PRO, but we're doing this for slightly different reasons today. So tomorrow, we've got the assignments for this from Matthew Corrigan. We'll have the whistle Mark Novosel, Fernando Fierro, and Katarina Koroleva as the 4th official. Matthew Corrigan being picked for this game surprises me, and it doesn't surprise me because of anything particularly wrong with Matthew Corrigan. It surprises me because the last time that Phoenix Rising played against San Diego Loyal, Matthew Corrigan was the referee. And in that game, he showed 10 yellow cards. He sent off JJ Williams for what was apparently, based off of what we've heard out of the Rising camp, perceived to have been throwing a water bottle at the crowd. He did not do so. He threw it at the wall. The red card was later overturned. And a member of Rising's bench personnel was also sent off in that game. The equipment manager was sent off. So, I mean, and just to add to that as well, of course, the talk that was coming out of Rising at the time was as though Corrigan had been bullied into these actions. The San Diego bench was throwing its weight around. I know a lot of people bring up stuff about Landon Donovan saying, oh, he was one who would bully referees. Nate Miller's got a reputation for it as well, okay? In some ways, people around the various clubs in the league have said Nate Miller's worse. Things that come out of his mouth to referees. So I just don't like the optics of this assignment. I feel that in some ways, PRO are setting him up to fail in this game. Because I just fear that what happens is a couple of decisions go against PHNX Rising. Stuff gets a little bit chirpy. Because, I mean, there can be 50-50 decisions and someone's got to have them. And some of this bad feeling perhaps from the last game comes back. I don't know. I mean, look, do I think that PHNX Rising is going to go out and create some big storm around this? No. Do I think that it's just bad planning on PRO's part to set up this situation where it was not necessary, whereby Corrigan could have been assigned to a different game this weekend and they brought in a different referee to take this game to avoid even looking like there could be any risk of problems here? Yes, I think they could have. And to be perfectly frank, I think that in most places around the world, they would have. I don't think that this is a particularly good decision to assign him to this one particular game.
And, well, if you can shed some insight within those decisions like that, are they based like off the regional thing where, hey, you're going to work a game that's within the area of yourself? Now, granted, there's
assistants and fourth officials. Yes, that does to an extent.
Okay.
Not always with the assistants, but sometimes.
Okay.
But Matthew Corrigan, if I'm not mistaken, is from Oklahoma. Okay. They do fly. The center officials are moved around more so.
Okay.
They are flown around more so. Okay. Sometimes assistant referees are flown as well. Sometimes they take more locally. Perfect example, and this one baffles me. I'm not sure what PRO are doing. Noah Kenyawani flown out to Charleston. Noah Kenyawani is a former track athlete at ASU who lives in Tempe, and they flew him to Charleston to run the line at PHNX Rising's game. Now, it's beyond me why they decided that was a good idea, but hey, it happens. Hey, I mean,
Producer Sean is shaking his head.
I'm just like, why?
Vigorously.
Why? But PRO is going to PRO by the sounds. I don't know how things are changing in the post-Howard Webb era there, but very interesting assignments. I'm not sure.
PRO not beating pros. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's kind of wonky. That's how I describe it. Going back to my earlier question, I need a prediction from you, sir. Give me a scoreline, please. And I saw Mr. Tomas in the chat. I need some others, please. Chime in.
1-0.
Mikey, Pat, everyone.
I'm going with another 1-0.
Interesting. You went with
Ronaldo Damus is going to score.
A rising... No.
Just to shut Michael up.
No, it's too... You went with a win last week. I went with the 1-1 draw. So I'm running the hot hand. No, you know what? I might play spoiler. Give me a 2-1 Rising. I'm feeling a bit optimistic.
Ooh.
I'm feeling optimistic. Please, chat, chime in. Tell me if I'm crazy. Tell me if I don't know what I'm talking about. Perhaps.
I mean, it doesn't mean that you know what you're talking about anyway.
Listen, I got one. I'm 1 of 1, baby. You're one to talk. But hey, they might think I'm crazy. Might think I'm sane. Maybe they think I'm just on
a lot of 1-1s in here. Thank you, guys.
Maybe they just think I'm on some OGs. You know, bam, it's official, folks. It's producer Sean rolling his eyes on that one.
We're all rolling our eyes, Max. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Can't stop.
I was on board with the transition, and then you stopped yourself.
Shoot.
That's the problem. That's where the problem is, Max. Stop stopping yourself. Move straight on in.
Mikey, 5-4 Damus. I'm assuming that's in PHNX Rising's favor. All right, well.
How many own goals from Damus then, Michael?
Maybe you both are on some OGs. It's official. OGs, new strawberries and cream, happy balance. Gummies are live on the shelves. As always, you can find them at your local dispensary by checking out ogeezbrands.com. That is OGEEZ brands.com. And while you're doing so, make sure you're looking damn good while you're wearing some bad freaking birdie, baby. They got all kinds of new apparel, golf, polos, hats, pullovers. It's short season. Get yourself some nice khaki shorts or whatever you folks are wearing to watch games or doing whatever. Get yourself some Bad Birdie. They got all good stuff. And when you use promo code PHNX Sports _15, you can get 15% off your next order at badbirdiegolf.com. Once again, that is PHNX Sports _15.
It's come up on the screen in case you're wondering.
15% off your next order at badbirdiegolf.com. Get yourself some today. And like I want to say, I wear Bad Birdie, so if you want to look like me, well, that's a bad segue. If you want to look better than me, wear Bad Birdie Golf. do it today.
If you want to wear the Max style, but wear it better than Max can wear
It's
it.
not hard to do. Get Bad Birdie. Makes it easy. All right, man. We talked about Charleston. We talked about San Diego. By the way, this is something I am curious. It's going to be interesting playing San Diego in consecutive matchups, but with a week apart. I don't really have I guess a question out of that. I just think that's an interesting scenario you don't often see.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting that there's this away game now coming up at the same time as US Soccer are hosting their AGM in San Diego. So if you want to see live tweets from the National Council meeting, rumor has it that I may or may not be going.
Rumor has it if you tag him, if you're in San Diego, he'll buy you a beer.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
Okay, wait. How come it works when you think you say it and that works, but when I say it, it doesn't happen?
Because when I say it, everyone agrees with me in the chat.
Guys, agree with the chat. Oh, if you're in San Diego, he'll buy you a beer. All right,
I hear that if you go up to the bar and say put it under Simpson, it works.
I'm not going to even be in San Diego. You are absurd.
Don't
anyway,
worry, guys, I've got his card.
He doesn't. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of matchups going on in the USL. Got a lot of interesting results from around the league.
Yeah, there were actually. I mean, Loudoun United.
Yeah, who would have freaking thought?
I mean, they did it last year as well, to be fair, so maybe we should have thought.
But, I mean, you saw how their season went.
It did. A little bit different this year than what they've got out there. Of course, Laurent Kisiedu getting himself sent off in that one. Congratulations for that. It was really impressive to see.
Congratulations for that.
I mean, actually, I'll give the referee credit in that one. He actually handled the thing correctly because you have the player comes up behind him, kind of like rubs him on the head like this, and his reaction is to do that.
I'm going to be honest, it was kind of
So he gets sent off, but the other player gets a yellow, which is probably
for those of you who are on audio, Owen just essentially tussled my hair, but I have a hat on.
Tussled his hair,
imagine
and
that.
then followed it up with a elbow.
That was not nice.
Yeah, which I didn't make
the tussle is nice. The elbow, not nice. Just want to clarify that.
Yeah. So there we go. Loudoun United running out as 3-1 winners in that game. Of course, I wasn't the only one with red cards. We saw some red cards as well from the undisputed red card champions of USL, Las Vegas Lights.
Oh, goodness.
Ah,
As Anwar Benruma Torres getting himself sent off for 2 yellow cards quite late in that game. Eric Pimentel also getting himself sent off in that game for 2 yellow cards. The difference being that Pimentel's yellow cards coming in the same sequence of events. He gets a yellow card for a foul and then gets a yellow card immediately after for his reaction to another player going up like chest to chest bumping him kind of like aggressively. So he gets 2 yellow cards between the stoppage of play and the restart of play, and he's sent off for that one. His side there actually is a 1-1 draw. RGB putting it in the net both times. Taylor Davila scoring an own goal 4 minutes in before Ricky Ruiz with a banger of a goal.
Banger?
Right before the
Certified
break.
banger?
Very good goal. Very good goal.
I like that. Well, and that's honestly impressive to have a sequence of events where you're getting 2 yellows in a span of, what is that, a couple seconds, whatever. Like that takes talent. That takes a hothead who's out of control, out of dang control. I love that. Like not if it happened to Rising.
You know what else was
general.
out of control?
Hit me.
Monterey Bay against Hartford Athletic. That game
right?
ending 5-3 in Monterey Bay's favor.
If you like goals.
1,
you hate
2,
defense.
3, and 4 goals coming in the last 6 minutes of the first half. So Monterey Bay took an early lead there. Alex Dixon. He ends up getting a hat trick before halftime, adding a Cave Rad own goal right on the stroke of the break, and Cave Rad scoring at the other end as well. And you had what was a 4-2 scoreline at the break. Adrian Rabala and Prince Sadie, former Rising player there. Prince Sadie for Hartford Athletic. He had a brace, and the result, of course, 5-3 to Monterey Bay. Some other interesting ones as well. I think Aiden Quinn with a goal on his Indy 11 debut. A lot of question marks over that one. Was the foul inside the area? Was it outside? Looks like it's mostly outside. But the question here, and this is where it gets complicated, it's a hold. We always apply the advantage principle to a hold. We're going to presume that as long as that hold is ongoing, we're going to let them play until the final point of that hold. That is where we're going to award the foul. Is he just in? Is he just out? Not sure. Bear in mind that those still images you see, of course, are partway through the hold. So never take them at face value. You need to really watch a video to try and make that judgment call. The assistant referee says it's in. That gets him the equalizer on the board, 90+6. So Indy 11 getting a point away to Tampa Bay. San Antonio starting their title defense. And starting it emphatically. They were 2-0 up at the break. Nico Hansen and Lamar Batista against Oakland Roots before Guillermo Fernando Diaz getting a goal back for Oakland, but Lamar Batista with his second. 3-1 to San Antonio on their home pitch. Any others that we really want to pull out?
Honestly, kind of touched on San Antonio picking up right where they left off against Juan Guerra's former club. Emphatic. They're looking good this year. I think a lot of people pegged the Tampa versus Indy 11 matchup to be the quote-unquote game of the week in many people's eyes. And, a 1-1 scoreline with some late drama never ceases to disappoint. Taking a look at some of the other matchups from this upcoming weekend and week, right? We already saw tomorrow we have El Paso Locomotive versus Colorado Springs Switchbacks, Birmingham Legion, FC Tulsa on Friday, and then you have a whole slate on Saturday, a couple juicy ones. Or Sacramento, Sac Republic facing Charleston Battery, kind of going off of Rising's result with them. And then again on Sunday, got Rio Grande Valley, RGV against Oakland Roots. That to me, both those guys, those could be anywhere from fighting to get into one of those last spots to really trying to solidify those, anywhere from mid-table within the West there.
Well, let's have a look, though, actually, at that game tomorrow, because, of course, that game tomorrow, El Paso against Colorado Springs, we got odds.
Of course we do.
We got odds with our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You want to back El Paso Locomotive right now? Plus 135. Colorado Springs, plus 160. And a draw at plus 255. Max, what are you taking?
So we talked about this earlier. I went with the draw. I like the draw. Again,
you went with the draw?
Listen, as I've always said last season, I'm already in peak midseason form. The game starts as a draw. Very likely it can end with a draw. That's just how it could work. Take the draw. When have I ever let you guys down? Come on.
You know what? Here's one for you. They've lost a little bit of the attacking firepower in Colorado Springs. And El Paso also, of course, kept to a 1-0 loss.
Yeah.
I'm liking the under 1.5 total goals at plus 310. So if you think there's only going to be 1 or 0 goals in this game, plus 310.
0 is less than 1.5. Yep, can confirm. I like that. Okay. Well, you talked to me earlier about the... what is it? The plus money with the draw no bet.
Yeah, draw no bet at the moment. El Paso is minus 150. Colorado Springs at minus 120.
If you want to decrease your odds, but it gives you a better chance of taking home some coins. So, hey.
Better chance of not losing, yeah, pretty much.
Correct. A lot of options there. But, hey, if you want to get down on winning some money and doing all that stuff, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code PHNX, just like in the top left-hand corner if you're watching on video. And if you're listening on audio, heed my words. Use code PHNX on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code PHNX. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details. And there's always fun things to be had at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, but same thing with what we've got going on at PHNX. It's our new tea party. Next one has been announced. It's live at Dobson Ranch. Come join us on Friday, March 24th for a night of golf, food, drinks, contests, prizes, more things. It's going to be
You sound like a broken record right there, Max.
It kind of did on the 4th or 5th more. But anyway, come hang with us. We're going to be doing a watch party with Suns fans, Diehards. It's going to be the Suns versus Sacramento Kings. Kings are surging. Had the Suns number the other night. Come on and watch it. It's going to be at Dobson Ranch Golf Course. The link is going to be in the show notes to reserve your spots today. Again, I've said this before. I will say it again. If you guys on the Rising Show, you buy a ticket, you buy a foursome, whatever.
He will buy you a beer.
I will buy you a beer. I will say
There we go. He's doing it.
I will buy you a beer. If you show me proof that you've bought something, I will buy you a beer. But we're already...
Hold on a minute. If you show proof that you've bought something...
Oh, come on. Stop it. Stop.
Max, I bought something.
No.
I did buy something.
We're trying to make this event even more amazing. That's already going to be.
Remember, he will buy you drinks. Come.
If you buy a ticket and show me on Twitter or in person or whatever, I will buy you a beer. It's going to be so much fun. If you like the Suns, if you like golf, if you like hanging out with us, whatever. We had our partners out giving away free things, all different types of stuff. This man is watching the man. Oh my gosh, there's 10 minutes.
10 minutes of stoppage time in Austin against Violette, and it's currently 2-0 to Austin. Violette just hanging on. To the degree of just boosting the ball away in a free kick.
We are all in shock.
We gotta wrap this up so we can see that.
We're all Violette.
Yes, but come to the tea party. It's going to be an amazing time. Real quick, we'll blaze through this. Producer Sean is coming to watch. I'm gonna. You guys keep doing your thing. I'm gonna really quick run through a couple things. U.S. Soccer. You guys saw the Greg Berhalter, the Claudio Reyna type stuff. Really gross. Who would have thought that Claudio Reyna was painted an even worse light than before? Really,
by far.
Like,
It was
I really did not think it was possible. You thought that we knew everything when the allegations came out. Turns out he's much worse. He's the worst kind of soccer parent that you could even dream of. And oh, by the way, is also kind of sexist apparently towards female officials. Fantastic there, not really. Berhalter is apparently now in the mix still for the U.S. men's national team job. Again, I don't know if that's just saying that now that he's cleared. I don't know if he's highly considered. I know you guys want to chime in. A lot of Berhalter fans in this chat, not really, but let us know if I'm wrong. You guys think otherwise. And then
one last thing.
World Cup format.
Well, two things. World Cup format. They've changed it up. It's going to be 4-team groups again in the next World Cup. With the top 2 teams and the best third place ones getting on through.
We were having
more games.
We were having this discussion earlier. Do they need to add more venues now that there are going to be 100 plus matches? Let us know. I'm like, this is crazy. There's so much time wasting.
There's a lot on the ground now holding his face.
There's so much time wasting going on in this match. But yes, let us know.
Come on, Violette.
World Cup, if you want to see more than 16 venues, do they need to add more? Where should it be? Kind of bummed again that Arizona State Farm Stadium is not in there. I think that's a sham, but
But speaking of State Farm Stadium, they will be hosting a friendly between the US and Mexico outside of FIFA window, of course. So not going to be the top players there, but yes, they'll be hosting a friendly between Mexico and the US at State Farm Stadium next month. Wednesday, the 19th of April, I believe.
Next month. We actually might have some cool news how we can get involved in that, so stay tuned. But lots of soccer news from Rising, from US, from the world, everything like that. I will leave you with one thing. The guy, Erling Haaland, my gosh, that man can score. And literally, if you want to talk about tap-ins, by the way, all of his goals were tap-ins and penalty. No, he was actually a penalty and tap-in merchant. Don't you dare go there. Yeah, exactly. Haha. Bam. I told you. Hurricane above Erling Haaland. You heard it here for us. But for PHNX Rising
Austin
Podcast.
FC level take.
No, I am Max Simpson.
Nothing's happened.
I'm Max Simpson. This is Owen Evans, producer Sean. You can follow me at Max David Simpson on Twitter. You can follow him at OJ Evans
18.
Producer Sean, we already know we can follow you, but tell the people in your producer voice, sir.
Sean_DePaz.
Yep, exactly. For those who don't know, go follow him. Appreciate you guys joining us. We will catch you Sunday during post-game. And Owen,
3 o'clock kickoff.
Yes, 3 o'clock kickoff. Probably around 5:30. And it will be 5:30. Owen won't be late this time with Wi-Fi issues, so join us then. But for now, peace.